All right, sports fans, how's everybody out there doing? William Martin coming at you one more time here on YouTube with another edition of the 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge Podcast. The two teams that have basically led the American League East this season just finished up a weekend series at Camden Yards today. And one thing that is for certain, and that is that this battle between the Baltimore Orioles and New York Yankees is far from over. The Yankees were able to take 2 out of 3 this weekend, and that was big because we've seen the Yankees be in a bit of a slump lately. Okay, so now they took 2 out of 3, and they're just a game behind Baltimore for the top spot in that division. And the Yankees, they simply needed to win this series. Why? Because coming in, they were 9-18 in their last 27 contests. This is a battle, and it's going to be a battle in more ways than one for these two AL East rivals. And we saw things get very chippy this weekend in Baltimore, and it started towards the end of game one of this series when the benches cleared. Now, for Baltimore, they were slumping too because before today's walk-off win, the Orioles had dropped their last 5 games, including getting swept by the Cubs. So for them to end their 5 game losing streak, finish the first half with a win, and have sole possession of first place is big for their part. I'll tell you like this. I know that the Yankees still left Baltimore in second place in this division, but if you're the Yankees, you needed this because the way that the Yankees went into Baltimore, you had the thought that, you know what, maybe they get swept. And if the Yankees had gotten swept, we're talking about them being 5 games down at the break. And I tell you, talking about them being 5 games down and just being a game down, big time difference. I know that we still got plenty of baseball left over the second half of the season, but nonetheless, I think it was still big for the Yankees to go and take 2 out of 3 from the O's. Big for a lot of reasons. Why? Because, I have stated my claim on this before. All right. I am not a fan of the quote unquote balanced schedule where everybody is playing everybody because that means that you have less division games. Instead of playing your division opponent 19 times per season, you're only playing them 13 times now. Why is this important? The Yankees in Baltimore only play each other 3 more times this season. Okay. And to me, I think it's those head to head matchups that really, can define a season within a division. And now they're not going to face each other on just 3 more games in the second half of the season. But nonetheless, for both of these teams, and I'm looking at the Yankees right now, they've got a very important stretch to begin the second half of the season. You're looking at New York. They're home for 4 games next weekend against Tampa Bay. And you look at the Rays. The Rays are right there. They're 48 and 48. They're 10 games out of this division, but they're right in there in the mix for a wild card spot in the American League. And on top of that, with the Rays, you never know what you're going to get. The Rays have been a thorn in the side of the Yankees for quite some time. Right after that, the Yankees host their crosstown rivals, the New York Mets, for 2 games in the Bronx before they're on the road at Fenway the following weekend for 3 with the Red Sox. And the thing is, we're talking about the Yankees and the Orioles duking it out for the top spot in the division very quietly, and I mean very quietly. Okay, it's been without a lot of fanfare outside of the New England area. Boston is 53 and 42. Boston is going out there and taking care of their business. And while the Yankees have been struggling, while the Yankees have been duking it out with the Orioles at the top of that division, the Red Sox are only 4.5 games back of first place, and anything can happen. Okay, over the second half of the season, but nonetheless, the Yankees got to deal with them then at Fenway. Then they got to go to Citizens Bank for 3 with the Philadelphia Phillies. So that's an important 12-game stretch coming out of the break for the Yankees. Are they going to be able to get more consistent starting pitching? are they going to be able to get more consistent hitting? Those are two questions that are going to have to be answered very soon for this club. On the flip side, for Baltimore, they've got three on the road in Texas with the Rangers. So, of course, the guys that are representing the Orioles for the All Star game this week, they just stay there. And this is also a rematch of last year's divisional round where we saw the Rangers sweep the Orioles en route to winning the World Series. Right after that, Baltimore is in Miami for three with the Marlins. I see it's a little bit easier than it is for the Yankees. They then host San Diego, and then they've got Toronto at home for four games. But nonetheless, you look at these teams. It's been a seesaw for the most part throughout the season. Earlier on, it looked like the Yankees were going to run away with things, but as good as the Yankees started, Baltimore was right there. Baltimore has not gone away. We saw Baltimore catch the Yankees since they went on their slump, and the O's are a very good baseball team, young and good. And it's going. With that said, it's going to be interesting to see which one of these teams blinks first in order to make a move prior to the trade deadline. I definitely think that the Yankees are going to go out there and make a move. I think the Orioles are going to make a move as well. I just don't think the Orioles are going to try to make as big of a move as the Yankees are due to salary. But nonetheless, I think it's going to be a move that's going to help to enhance their postseason chances. For the Yankees, though, can this team just get consistency and get back to what they were at the beginning of the season? We've got to wait and see. But nonetheless, I think both of these teams are playoff bound, the Yankees and the Orioles. And honestly, I'm going to throw the Red Sox in that mix as well. And, looking at this division as a whole, Tampa's 10 out. It's a long shot for the Rays to win this division. But I will say this: Tampa's going to be a thorn in the side of all of these teams, all right, that are ahead of them. And then you've got Toronto there. There's 14 games back, 44 and 52. Clearly, the Blue Jays have underachieved. You can make a very compelling case to say, hey, Toronto has been the most underachieving team this season. But nonetheless, will the Jays throw in the towel? And when they do, where does that talent go? Clearly, they're not going to trade within their own division. I get it. But nonetheless, it's going to be very interesting to see what happens after that going forward. But you look at this race between the Yankees and Orioles, like I said before, I truly wish that they would have more games against each other in the second half. But of course, that clearly is not my decision. But I think this is going to be a battle to the bitter end between these two teams. And like I said, the Red Sox are lurking. Do not sleep on the Red Sox. And maybe if the Red Sox get close enough, maybe they go out there and make a move as well. Things are just heating up in the thick of the summer months in Major League Baseball. And like I said before, it is going to be a battle to the very end in the American League East for that crown. So, folks, that is going to wrap it up. And as always, I want to take this time out to thank all of you for tuning into the 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge podcast here on YouTube. I want to take this time out to thank all of you fine folks out there for tuning in. And if you haven't already, please feel free to subscribe to this channel. Now, if you're on the X, formerly known as Twitter, please feel free to follow me at 300 Pounds of Sports. And like I always say, if you follow me, it will be my pleasure to follow you right back. There's also the sports discussion group on Facebook at the Sports Depot 365. Now you can check it out. Drop a line and be a part of one of the better sports debating sites going on social media. So once again, fine folks, my name is William Martin, and I am signing off. And I'm saying take care and have yourselves a wonderful day.